Hey guys, Justin again with another video. With this one we're going to teach Thomas some basics and we're going to use him kind of as a
guinea pig?
Yeah, that'll work. So hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be a tutorial video. We're going to try and do something a little bit different with this one. This is my friend Thomas. He's sort of new to the hobby, not really, but sort of new. He's been building for a little while now. He took a break, he came back, and he's expressed some interest in wanting to learn some things. So we're going to run through some ideas I had for a tutorial series where I demonstrate something to you guys. I demonstrate the technique, I talk about the technique, and then Thomas is going to actually do all the demonstration on video so that you guys can see it from the perspective of somebody that's learning it. That way, if anything happens, I can go, hey, this is what went wrong, this is what you need to fix, what needs to be changed, and hopefully it provides a little bit better insight on the overall process. So, Thomas, go ahead and drop your Instagram and any other links you want to drop. I'll put those down in the link below, but if you want to shout them out real quick.
You can always check out what I'm doing for Gundams and stuff like that on Instagram at Nightwing5930. And also on my Twitter is Nightwing Gaming. I post some Gundam stuff on there, streams. You never know what you'll see there. Check them out.
Okay. And how long have you been building?
I've been building. I started about 7 years ago. I know that sounds like a while, but I stopped about a year and a half in for a long stretch and just got into it. I don't know, probably 3-4 months ago.
Okay. So, and what was your first introduction to Gundam?
My first introduction was you got me into it, and I started building right off the deep end with the Master Grade Destiny Full Burst Gundam.
Okay. So, and what's your favorite mobile suit?
My favorite mobile suit is the Unicorn Gundam.
All right. So there's a little bit of background on Thomas. So what we're going to be doing, if you want to grab that real quick, what we're going to be doing is we're going to run through some assembly. This video is just kind of an introduction so you can get to know Thomas. We're going to get acquainted with his building habits. We're going to do a little time-lapse video. Thomas is going to run through the way he builds his kits. Then we're going to go through and talk about some seam fixes. We're going to talk about just some basic modifications and things you can do to make your kit look better. And we're going to run through it with Thomas. So stick around. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run through Thomas's regular build process. I've got him some extra tools here in case he wants to try something new. But for the most part, he's just going to build this the way he would normally build any of his models.
Alright, so on here it says I'd start with A6 and A12. So I would just cut these out with the clippers as close as possible to avoid nubs. And then I'll trim any nubs that will be there off before I attach them. And 12. Then carefully trim it down so you don't take too much off. Go to the other side. Do the same thing. And on the third nub. Then look on the other piece. These are the ones I try to be more careful with because it's what, it's what you would see.
Alright, before we get into this one, let's give a quick shout out to our patrons for this month. We've got Andy, Gil, SD, and Rex. Thank you guys so much.
The last thing we're going to talk about is seam removal. There's two ways to do this. One way is to remove the seam. The other way is to hide the seam. So Thomas, do you want to remove the seam or do you want to hide the seam?
I mean, just someone who doesn't necessarily know, which way makes it look better?
It's really a matter of preference. So what I could do here is I could either get rid of this seam line entirely. And you can see that that doesn't interfere with assembly at all.
Yeah.
And what that's going to do is make these two halves of parts look like one piece. It's going to look like this is one part.
Yeah.
Or I can make a bevel here and make this look like there's a panel line that runs down the back of it.
Let's just remove it.
So we're going to remove it. Okay. So to remove a seam line, you're going to need a couple things. Obviously, you're going to need a part with a seam in it. You're going to need one of these glues. Which one you use is your preference. I prefer the extra thin, but some people like the little slower working time of the deluxe. I can totally get behind that. And then you're going to need some sandpaper. So for this, what I like to do is I just kind of split it enough that I can fit my fingernail in it. I close it just a tiny bit, a little too far. I just kind of, press it just a tiny bit open. That's good. Just like that. Okay? I give this a good shake. I don't know if that affects anything or not, but it's just something I do.
For luck.
And you pretty much touch the seam, and I run through it. Now I'll do this 2 or 3 times. I'm going to do one more the other way just for good measure. And I wait just a second, and then I squeeze them together as hard as I can. And what you should see is not that. You should see the glue kind of comes out a little bit. And what that means is that both halves of the plastic have melted. And when you push them together and push stress, it's pushing the excess plastic out of both sides. That means that you're going to get a good, strong, solid connection. Now, if you really were concerned about it fitting together, you'd do this side as well. But there's no seam on this side, so I'm not going to worry about it. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to pull the camera away. We're going to watch Thomas do it, the same thing. And then we'll come back, we'll sand them together. Alright, so here's mine. I kind of touched it a little bit before it dried, if you remember that. Some of the glue that had seeped out kind of just smeared all over the place. It's not a big deal. And Thomas didn't really get the same effect I did, but what I wanted to demonstrate to you with this tutorial is that that's okay. Not everything that is done needs to be the same. So the whole point of this tutorial is that Thomas and I will both, not all the time, but there will be times when we get different results using the same methods, and I wanted to demonstrate that to you guys so that you guys know that you're not doing something wrong. But on the off chance that something does go wrong, I can potentially show you how to fix it.
Something's probably going to go wrong.
So, this is my leg. You can still see that it is marked on the front. You probably can't see it, but it's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 400 grit. It's probably been ground down so much that it's probably closer to an 800 or 1000, but it'll still work. And we're just going to buff this out. Need to polish super far. Now you can see back here on the back of this calf there's a little dimple. This is where Thomas either when he cut it out he cut into the plastic a little bit, or when he removed the gate mark he might have gouged into the plastic a little bit. Fine, it's an easy fix. Again, if you sand this down just a little bit more, you can eventually sand that away, but the problem with that is you're removing a lot of plastic at that point. So what I like to do, if you're using like regular sandpaper instead of one of these, you might get a little dust. You can put some of that little sanding dust in there, just touch it with the glue, and that will fill that up, and then you just sand it down again. Alternatively, you can get some putty, or one of my favorite methods is I'll take this. This is Mr. Surfacer 500. This has one purpose on my desk and one purpose only. I shake this up.
My hand was so slipping.
The only purpose of this is I use this to fill little tiny gaps like this. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to dot it right over that little dimple and just kind of wiggle it around a little bit and let it dry. When that dries, I'll sand it down and that will fill that little gap. No need to fudge around with putty. For the lower half, and the only time I'm going to recommend doing this is when you're doing a very, very, very flat piece like the bottom here. This has got a bit of a curve to it, so it's a little trickier to do. And I can't find my hobby knife, so we're going to use this kind of utility knife type deal. I'm going to scrape the seam away. And what this does is it ensures that the entire surface is totally level with this knife. Now sometimes this makes a really annoying noise and can irritate people, so use your discretion there. But if you do it very slowly and kind of work your way through it, that seam should disappear. So there we go. Seam gone. And I'm going to let this dry and sand it off camera. But I'm going to let Thomas take over from here. He's going to show you the way he sands it. We're just going to compare the pieces at the end, and then we're going to wrap this video up.
So as always guys, please hit that subscribe button for more videos and leave a like. It helps me rank better in searches, and if you wouldn't mind sharing this with your friends, it really means a great deal to me. Also, if you wanted to support my channel even more, I have a Patreon and a t-shirt store down below. Each one of these is going to greatly help support the channel and get you guys a little something on the side. Patrons will get a video about a week early, and anytime a project is finished, they're going to get a full resolution gallery of all the photos of the model, as well as unedited and uncolor corrected photos. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. Later.